Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations that are hopefully elect. The brother Isaiah with the Pittsburgh GMS camp. Coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachaha Kodash. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I came across this article, and I just want to kind of weigh in on it a little bit. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shoppers who rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, a federal program to provide food benefits to low-income households, soon have an even easier options for online grocery shopping. Beginning in 2024, Uber Eats will allow users to pay for groceries using SNAP EBT benefits app, right? Which Instacart already does this. Like it says here, the new news follows a similar move by competitor Instacart, which in August became the first online grocery marketplace to accept SNAP payments in all 50 states in Washington. Right. So, I kind of want to go into this because there's been this debate, this back and forth. As we know, the economy is in a decline. Contrary to what was said by the government, contrary to what's said by your politicians. Okay, the economy is in a decline. All right, a created decline, so to speak, and people are feeling it. Okay, and people are more and more getting tight-fisted. Okay, the gratuity, the love, is waxing cold. Okay, Matthew 24:12 says, "And because iniquity shall abound, love of many shall wax cold." Okay, that's exactly what we have here. You have this thing that had to be that this movement that happened. Okay, which I don't know if it still exists. Apps have become more and more clever to make it hard to detect. Okay, people who are not tipping. You have people who get a luxury service such as food delivered to your doorstep, groceries delivered to your doorstep, and they do not tip you. Okay, now this may not be as common in certain markets, but it's widespread enough. Okay, in different areas. I've seen this in my area. There are people that still tip, but majority speaking, certain apps such as DoorDash, which was a known offender in this particular thing, because DoorDash notoriously pays you very little for the trips you do. You have to be very selective when you drive. I don't even do DoorDash anymore. I used to. Stop doing DoorDash. That app is completely dead to me. All right, and there was a lot of things. People would put a tip on an order, and they would remove the tip. So you would deliver the food. You would deliver it in a timely order, in a timely fashion, and then later on, for no apparent reason or for whatever strange reason, which we know why it is, because people didn't want to pay the tip on top of the fees. Because let's face it, it's expensive to order DoorDash. It's expensive to order Uber Eats. It is expensive to order Grubhub and Instacart, because that company has to get a fee. So on top of that company charging that fee, many people decided to shortchange the person who was actually delivering their food. Okay, which caused people who were doing these apps for a livelihood to do what? To become angry. Okay, and to decide, well, look, you don't want to tip me, you're not gonna get your food, nigga. 2 Timothy 3:2 says, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous." Matter of fact, let's read verse 1. It says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." Okay, now this is just very light on the aspect of perilous times, but I don't, but for some people it's not so light when you consider that this is a lot of people's livelihood, that, there are people who have made the decision to do this full time, or who feel as though they've been pushed into the decision to do this full time. You may have someone who needs a flexible schedule and needs to work on demand, and you still got heathens that'll do it. The way heathens pull it off is typically they'll live in one house. I see a lot of the same heathens. They almost look like family members. What I'm saying? That now, and you can always tell when one of these heathens is doing DoorDash. They get out. They have a certain stupefied look on their faces. You see them at these different restaurants, and you just know this nigga's doing DoorDash. I just seen him at this other restaurant, and ain't no way this nigga eating out that much. Face buried in his phone. You like, yeah, this nigga's doing doing Uber Eats or whatever, okay? And typically they'll live together, right? And that's the only way it makes sense for them to do these apps, you know, for this little pay. That's all they do all day. So nevertheless, perilous times is coming for the normal, you know, average person who you can't support yourself, okay, on a DoorDash only, all right, income, or just not. I don't see that happening. Now you got stories. I've heard stories, but if that's, you know, if that's what you're doing all day, I guess you could do it. You know, you pulling off 12, 14-hour shifts, but you know, the average person don't have all day to be sitting up there looking at their phone. Okay, you got family, you got this, you got responsibilities you got to handle, you know. So anyway, verse 2, for men, the 2 Timothy 3:2, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. All right. And then, you know, there's more on that, but that's the part I want to get. You know, people ain't worried about, you know, the fact that they're asking you to provide them a luxury service. Okay. They're not worried about the fact that, you know, you ain't getting paid that much from DoorDash. They just want their food. They want it hot. They want it fast. And they want, sometimes they want you to walk up 3 flights of stairs and drop it off directly in front of their door, or to navigate through these apartment buildings at night and try to figure out where these niggas live. You walking up, you know, you walking up 3 flights of stairs to try to, but hey, come to find out, you in the wrong breezeway and you got to go to the next building over, and then they ain't tipping you on top of that. Now imagine, you know, doing that. Okay, you doing that with DoorDash. You may got 1 bag. No, imagine you doing that with Instacart and you got 3 cases of water. All right, and these heathens and these different people won't even come downstairs and meet you to get their own groceries. So is there certain things like that where it's just like not worth it in a lot of cases? Now some people do it, you know, some people have different ways to get around it, but nevertheless, you know, it's ridiculous to expect that from somebody. And so I can understand why this culture happened. So I'm gonna close this. Probably some more there, but I just wanted to click on some of these things. You know, this is what it was called. It was called No Trip, No Tip. I don't know what this dude said the solution was. Maybe he found some way around it. You know, but when you see, okay, stuff like this, I don't know if the audio is gonna play. Trying to really get to see. Let me go back. Right. He shows the time. It was ordered at 2:07 p.m. Right. And you look down here. Total was $92.97. Now that's a lot of money to be paying for some food, right? So I can understand from a customer standpoint. I done already paid $92.97. I'm not trying to, you know, pay no more. But the point is, look, you done spent already $92, and then you ain't tipping. You're not gonna get your food. You're not gonna get your food unless, now, like I said, these apps have deceptive tactics that they use now, where they'll bundle up orders together. You might, especially DoorDash, Uber Eats does this too. I noticed, because like I said, I don't do it no more, but I used to. But the Lord put me in a situation where I ain't doing that no more. You know, but it used to piss me off where you take an order and you see the amount and you're like, okay, that looked like a decent amount, and then you look at the order and then lo and behold, it's actually 2 orders, and you can't tell which one ain't tipping, because you know one of them, you know, between the $15 that's on that order, that one of these niggas ain't tipping. You know, but sometimes you can't tell. They don't let you know this person's tipping and this person's not tipping, because it's a business model. It don't make sense to do that, right? Because you want as many customers as possible. So that's one of the deceptive ways they use. All right, I don't know exactly what's being said here. As you can see, that was ordered at 2:07. When you look at what time it usually is, saying this one was ordered at 2:15. It's sitting there. All right. But if you ain't tipping, a lot of times motherfuckers is gonna leave your order. So this is just a it's just a, you know, something for, you know, if you do get a delivery, $5.39. See, So if that dude was up there, in the same time you had, oh yeah, okay, you see what it says, 5:30, 5:30. I ain't see the captions. Turn it back on. So right now it's 5:30. He was trying to find a clock. Yeah, so I ain't trying to play the audio because I don't want to get nobody saying that there's a copyright strike. So we saw the times on that from 2 o'clock, 2 whatever it was, to this and to that, to 5:30. That order was sitting there and got cold. Now imagine you spent $90-something on the order and it got cold. Why? Because you didn't tip. No tip orders. You basically in there calling you a clown. But you really can't blame these people for getting aggravated or getting mad or denying your order. All right, because you want a luxury service, $215, right? And 5:30, you still ain't got your food. Why? You decided you wasn't gonna tip. Yeah, I wouldn't take your order either, man. Just to be straight up honest with you, you can't be mad at me. And people want to say, well, get mad at the companies, get mad at this and get mad at that, and DoorDash should be paying more. Hey, I'm not arguing with you there, but these corporations don't give a shit. And you as a consumer that wants a luxury service, you go to a restaurant, you're frowned at if you don't tip. That's a common thing they say about niggas, or why they don't want to serve niggas at a restaurant, because they look at a nigga and say, this nigga ain't gonna tip me, so why should I give them excellent service? Because those people depend on tips, and it sucks, but it is what it is, man. This dude here, he let's see what he says, right? Hold on. The audio's not playing.
Everybody always say they want to move to Atlanta.
Yeah.
You ready for this?
All right. This DoorDash motherfucker got some kung fu tea. This DoorDash motherfucker got some kung fu tea and don't want a tip. You know I be telling them, right? No tip, I sip. Thank you, DoorDash non-tipper. Peace.
Now, I don't know if it's real or not. It's probably not real. It's probably satire. But as you see, this is the sentiment that was being passed along. Okay, no tip, no sip. Look at this: 10 miles for $10. And that's not a reasonable. Who's driving 10 miles at $1 a mile? That's not worth the time. Okay, for people. Right? It's not worth the time. As you see here, it's just egregiously low payments for doing these. Look at this double shopping order. You got to shop 2 customers, drive 18 points. So not only you got to pull up to Aldi's, you got to pull up to a store called Weissman's, right? You got to get out. You got to shop for 2 people. You got to drive 18 miles, and you're only getting paid $25. Somebody's not tipping you. Somebody's not tipping you for the work that they want you to do. Okay, it's just bottom line. And people ain't really making the money that they want. It says 1 mile $11, so that's a good trip right there. A blessing, want to call it that. So anyway, I just want to go into this. There's some more stuff, more videos of people's food sitting there forever. Mute this. You see a bunch of orders just sitting there, because why? This ain't tipping. Okay, I pretty much made the point on that. See this? Not really. You can tell they're not tipping because the mileage and the dollar are very close. 2.4 miles. This might got $1 tip on it, or 50 cents, maybe. And this one's a joke. Basically, she got a coffee at a Starbucks, and then she got pressured into tipping $5. So it does get ridiculous. Okay, you got this where I talked about this already. where you take an order and then it turns out it's 2 orders and all that other stuff. Ecclesiastes, and eventually this is, this stuff may phase out, or people may be forced. I mean, it comes to a point where it's not even worth it no more. And it kind of looks stupid for continuing to do it. Like I said, every market is different. It may be different in New York or different areas where people have a different understanding of delivery workers and tipping them. Okay, Ecclesiastes 12 and 1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the light of the moon, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, or the clouds return after the rain. Okay, so right now things don't seem so bad. So you should remember Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and put time into him now, right? Verse 3 says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Okay? The grinders are gonna cease. There's not gonna be no work. Verse 4 says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. Even when you think the grinders shall cease because there are few, well, yeah, there's becoming less and less jobs, okay? Because the grinders are things that were used to grind meal, okay? So the grinders are going to stop eventually. Verse 4, and the door shall be shut in the streets. When the sound of the grinding is low, he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So as you can hear, as you read it, right, it says the doors are going to be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. Why? Because there's not going to be a lot of work. It's not going to be a lot of work to do. It's not that the demand won't be there, but the ability for these different businesses to sustain themselves and to provide jobs is already dwindling, and it's going to be almost non-existent. Okay, and there's a few more articles on tipping culture. You see, nigga said tipping culture in the U.S. is out of control. We're even asked to tip as self checkouts. Okay, and there's the philosophy here is what, there's a sucker born every minute. If you go check yourself out and you're asked for a tip and you give them a tip, that's on your ass. You shouldn't have did. That's your dumb ass, right? 2023 U.S. digital tipping culture. 1 in 3 people feel pressure to tip. So this is another aspect too. People are already clutching their bags and their purses and their wallets, or saying, "Oh man, I'm losing money." All right, and now people don't want to tip. How much Americans tip in 2023? Did they tip less than 5%, 3%? Tip less than 5%? Prefer not to say. So they give different, what affects tipping quality of service. Personal budget is a 50% impact. If 50% of people answered that their personal budget affects whether or not they tip, and people are having less money, do tip. Okay, 32% tip less now than they did before inflation increased in 2020. Americans tip nearly 50% more when tipping digitally. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because you can see it on the screen. When you have to see it on the screen. Now look at this. Negative feelings people have towards tipping. Okay, it says. And Salaki, Lord willing, this is edifying. Sometimes I avoid doing certain lessons because I'll be like, I don't know if it's going to be edifying. So Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect, right? Negative feelings people have toward tipping. I don't know if people feel these pressures or not, but it just gives you a mindset to understand if you order from an app, you pretty much should tip, because the better you tip. And I did this myself. I ordered some food one time, which really we moving away from eating out. You know what I'm saying? When they pulled this 1 cent and 50-cent burger move, you know what I'm saying? We know what time it is, man. We know something ain't right with them burgers, man. All right, so that's put me in the mindset of we need to stay away from this shit. All right, but you might have certain mom and pop places. You might have a certain Indian food spot or something you might fuck with. We know these big chains should definitely be avoided. And eventually all these people, because as the pressure squeezed down on them, they're gonna be giving out lesser and lesser quality food to you. If hey man, these Moabites been on camera roasting rats and and whatnot. We don't know what these niggas is trying to sell us. Anyway, negative feelings people have towards tipping. Okay, 31% feel pressured, 26% feel overwhelmed, 23% feel embarrassed, 23% feel guilty, 20% feel confused, and 18% feel uncomfortable. Okay, so it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Hey, on top of that, I've done a lesson too about people claiming they didn't get their food. So, majority of Americans, 66%, view tipping negatively, with Gen Z and men tending to tip the least out of anyone, according to a survey released on Thursday from Financial. And a lot of the videos I've seen actually of women, of people claiming they didn't get their order, have actually been women. There was that N-Dub, a man came to the door. She was drinking a drink, and she still said, "I didn't get my food, sir." Or the one Edomite with the glasses, when he came to her job, and she said, "I don't, what are you talking about?" When she was on camera, receiving the order. So, says that older demographics of women are more likely to tip. Well, I don't know. I can't argue the facts of that, but from what I've seen, been contradictory, because like I said, when I order, and maybe it's just because I've been on the other side. All right, I know that if I want my order untouched, if I want my order quick, I gotta put a proper tip on that joint. And I understand, if I'm getting a luxury service, asking somebody to bring food to my door, if I tip you're gonna be less willing to compromise my order by touching my food or doing some crazy shit, because you would prefer that money, all right, to help yourself out, than to risk me removing my tip or contacting that place and saying, "Look, I had a problem with my order and I get a refund," which means you don't get paid or you get a strike on your account, right? So I just tip these people, man, if I'm gonna do it. Which, hey, things are getting to the point where brothers ain't gonna have money to do this shit, or it's gonna be less, right? 2 Ezra 15:19 says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, shall destroy their houses with the sword, spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation," right? So, money's getting low worldwide. You know what I'm saying? Inflation, man. All right. And it's gonna come a point where ain't gonna be no more of this, because shit gonna cost so much. We know what's coming, man. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. All right, we don't walk in darkness as other people. So ultimately, how about Shemel Shai got us? You know what I'm saying? We gotta walk in the spirit, walk in faith, do things according to the spirit. But I saw this. I had a personal, I don't want to call it testimony, but I had a personal, I can relate to this personally, because I did gig economy, I did grocery delivery, I did these different things, and I know when you do EBT, you don't get no tip. Typically, there's no tip for an EBT order. You don't get no tip. You be driving hella miles, and there don't be no tip involved, because they already using EBT. They using food stamps, and I don't think you can tip on food stamps, right? So anyway, with that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Shemel Shai, Hashem Rakahak Dash. Of honor to your apostles and elders of great. Like with that, I want to say Shalom, Baba Ball.